in America who's not made up his mind about this election. Geraldo Rivera. You know, we don't have to say Geraldo. It's Geraldo, the only guy in America with one name. And we also have Fox News contributor Monica Crowley and Trump's National Finance Committee member Anthony Scaramucci.
I didn't know you had an
here.
official position.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm on the Economic Advisory Council.
Hey, lend me $1, man.
Let me $1?
I
read you own the island.
Pocket. Those are Italian singles, brother.
Did I read you own an island?
I do.
You own an island.
Well, look who's talking, Mr. Private Jet. Are we going to go, they're going to like
you believe in those stories that I'm flying Newt Gingrich into?
This is going to be a 1% conversation.
As one bad hombre to another. Just kidding.
Oh, that didn't bother you?
You know, I have a, Monica, excuse me, I don't mean to barge in here, but
yes, he does.
I have a different take than I've heard analysts, so far this evening. Okay. And it comes from an experience I had when I came to Fox News 15 years ago. When I came to Fox News 15 years ago, for the first time in my professional life, I was with people who, smart, accomplished people who were my peer in every regard, who, unlike me, were pro-life. And what was the revelation coming from Manhattan, what was the revelation to me is that people who are pro-life are no less intelligent, no less sophisticated than I was, and that the propaganda I'd been fed over the decades was false, that there really is
I'm one of your friends that's pro-life.
I know. Yeah. And my point is, when they spoke in the very first question about the Supreme Court of the United States, and Donald Trump was finally forced to say about Roe v. Wade that he would, by the appointment of his justices on his list, naturally, in the course of his administration, have the votes to overturn Roe v. Wade. So, and this plays a little bit into the nasty woman aside that he muttered about Hillary. This clearly makes this an election that goes back to that old litmus test: pro-choice, pro-life. And I think that is not a battle Donald Trump can win, given the evolution. Like, I just saw the most recent survey showed that 70% of the American people want Roe v. Wade to stay the law of the land.
First of all, as a lawyer, you know this. It's bad law, number one.
But that's not the point.
Wait. Number two.
My point is women,
I got what you're saying. Women and men. All right. But here's the other part of it. I know people like yourself that are pro-choice. And you and I are friends. We're buddies. I respect you enormously. But I'll tell you what, 70% of Americans that are pro-choice like you hear Hillary Clinton say that viable fetuses, full-term babies, 9, 8, 7 months, that you can't commit infanticide when they can live independently outside the womb, and they hear that as barbaric.
But you know what they also hear?
Infanticide.
They hear that when you leave
Thank you very much, whoever clapped. Thank you.
You leave it to the states. He wants to leave it to the...
And he said bring it to the
no abortions in Kansas anymore, or in all the red states in the Deep South, the old Confederacy. It's regenning up the old war of the 70s.
Go ahead, be the host.
I'm tired. But why can't we be for less abortions? Abortion is like the worst form of birth control. So why can't we just be promoting less abortions? Why do we have to even have this conversation?
That is a great point.
The fact that we're pro-life or pro-choice, I think is terrible.
If he stayed on the partial birth
abortion. I love you both. But as the only woman sitting up here right now,
we yield the floor to the other.
The question was about the Supreme Court and what kind of justices he would appoint if he becomes president of the United States. That is the crux of the issue here, because if Mrs. Clinton is elected, you're going to lose the Supreme Court for a generation. You're going to lose the country for 2 generations. And in terms of abortion, I think Donald Trump did a great service to this country by saying, look, by being pro-life, I'm not the extremist here. She supports partial birth abortion, where you actually puncture the brain, the head of an unborn child. So because she's
capable of living outside.
That's right.
Outside the womb.
Because she supports that, she is the abortion extremist.
Let me counter your argument with this. If you want to make it about men and women, Donald Trump tonight said, give back the money that you take from Qatar where marital,
That was good.
hang on,
That was
marital
good.
rape and marital beating
No,
is
I
okay.
think that was a very
Okay.
solid point. So is the partial birth abortion.
Give back,
a solid point.
give back the money from Saudi Arabia, where women can't drive, are told how to dress, can't go to work and school without a man's permission. They kill gays and lesbians, Geraldo, and they persecute Christians and Jews. Give back the money, Hillary. Now, if I'm a woman, and I'm saying, why did the Clintons take a million from Qatar and 25 million from the Saudis? And you know what?
I think that's a fair point and well made, but I want to ask you a question. If you're a suburban woman,
welcome to Geraldo.
You're living on the main line in Philadelphia,
yeah,
and you have previously voted Republican, and now you've seen Donald Trump in action. Are you going to trust Donald Trump with the decision on whether or not you can have an abortion? Are you going to trust a court appointed by,
let me tell you
Trump?
One thing about.
I don't think that plays anymore.
The answer is I agree with him.
But I mean, that guy is going to vote for Trump anyway.
Okay, but here's your answer about that woman. Here's your answer about that woman. I think women also heard and also know how she has treated women in over the years. And the fact that she never criticized those countries that practice Sharia and took millions means that they bought her soul.
See, I am not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
And so she's not a feminist. She's not for women. She's not for gays and lesbians. She's for her own selfish pocketbook.
So why doesn't Trump say that? Why doesn't Trump say that?
Because I can't be the debate coach. Go ahead.
When it comes to the women vote, I think what Donald Trump should be doing is targeting his message on economics. Forget about the abortion issue.
She's right.
The left has indoctrinated women since Roe versus Wade for 40 years. But you can get to them on economics. So you can point to the wreckage of the Obama-Clinton economic policies and say that the female labor participation rate is the lowest as it's been in 30 years. 1.6 million women have fallen into poverty in the last 8 years under President Obama. He can make all of these arguments that the median annual wage for women is down by $2,000 per year. If you make those arguments bread and butter and speak directly to what affects their livelihoods, I think he still might have a fighting chance with someone.
Too late.
And add personal safety to that.
Right.
And he did a very good job tonight, Sean, explaining the situation in the Middle East and the vacuum in the Middle East.
He may have won the debate 4-3. He needed to win it 10-2.
Maybe not, though, because at the end of the day, there are so many Trump shamers out there. I want to know why the media is able to take the moral high ground with her when you can list her crimes.
I got to tell you,
you know, the tragedy was
is a few things verbally that he said.
The tragedy was that the O'Keefe stuff came out so late. Imagine if this O'Keefe stuff had come out after Chicago, but before the first debate, when it could have been absorbed by the American people, helped form the opinion, and he could have used it in that first debate.
Let me say this, because I think you're making a very good point. I don't think the people of this country have yet to absorb the magnitude of those tapes.
They got 20 to 19 days.
Okay, but in 19 days, I would argue WikiLeaks and those tapes and more to come, they will be absorbed and factored in a big way. But
Sean, the problem is you're covering it here, we cover it on Fox News, but the rest of the media doesn't cover it. It's got to punch through because other media outlets need to. Yes, and that goes,
new paradigm.
That goes far, but
that
not maybe
is a huge
not far
paradigm.
enough.
60, 70 million.
I only say this in that, and I totally agree that O'Keefe was giant.
Voting for him.
I'm telling you, I'll tell you, and I promise to tell you first. I swear I'm going to tell him. I'm going to break it live.
When?
Live.
We got 19 days.
But maybe with 18 days. Make sure that I'll be here.
Trump. I'm breaking news right now. He's voting for Trump. I can see it on his face.
Look at the.
We welcome you to
we welcome you to our family.
I love Donald Trump. He's always been nice.
Can't wait
always
to have
been very
you.
respectful.
What do you think?
Very
Is Hillary an
friendly with
honest
my
person?
family.
Last question.
A lot of affection.
Is Hillary honest?
But
did she lie to us?
This plays into the comment I'm about to make.
Yeah.
WikiLeaks, you cannot, as a conservative patriot, you cannot be absolutely okay with Russia and intelligence agencies.
I got a break, but let me tell you something.
Controlling.
I'm not going to be lectured
and leaking us
on national security and secret documents by Hillary Clinton, who we know the Romanians got her emails. So with all due respect, it's kind of divine justice for her.
I don't know.
I think it's Julian Assange.
What's he going to do next election cycle in the Republicans?
I'm not so sure. Nobody's proven to me that it's Russia.
Rubio.
And by the way,
Donald Trump has no email. By the way,
I am endorsing Marco Rubio tonight. I am endorsing Marco Rubio. I think that he's been such a mensch.
He's for Trump. I can smell it on him.
I am endorsing Marco Rubio too. You?
But Yes, but by the way, on the WikiLeaks thing, because Mrs. Clinton had a private, unsecured, non-government server, the Russians were watching her in real time.
Exactly. We got a break.
Mic drop.
Geraldo might tell us like 2 hours.